Hello, entrepreneurs. My name is Bimal Shah. I'm on a mission to make pioneers out of entrepreneurs by helping you achieve your 3 year goal in 1 year that's tied to your 25-year vision and 5 year moonshot. I do it through weekly sprints and 90-day leaps. This is the Pioneers Academy podcast, and I'm on a mission to make a million pioneers. And I thought this podcast channel will help you achieve your 3 year goal and jump to the next level. I'm going to be showing lots of training and lots of great episodes, so join on this podcast and get all the training and resources you need to achieve your 3 year goal in 1 year and make yourself a pioneer. I wrote 13 books, Becoming a Pioneer, and you can get all those 13 books on Amazon. We're going to give away to every listener who listens on this podcast a $100 Amazon gift card so you can get all the books and learn how to become a pioneer.
Welcome back to the Pioneers Academy podcast. I'm April, your host, and wow, can you believe it's already September? This is the time of the year when so many entrepreneurs are looking back at what's happened so far and looking ahead at what's possible before the year ends. And if you're thinking, can I really make a breakthrough in just 3 months? The answer is yes. That's what today's episode is all about. Quantum 90-day leaps. And to guide us through, I'm joined with Bimal Shah, strategist, coach, author of the 13 books, and the visionary behind the Pioneers Academy. He's helped countless leaders turn overwhelm into clarity, chaos into systems, and plateaus into real growth. So, Bimal, it's always a pleasure having you here. Welcome back to the show.
So thank you for having me here. And today is a very special episode. And September is the best month to think about leaps and looking back and building the foundational quantum 90-day leap, which helps you plan for the whole year because it's a very structural, foundational leap that you build in your business that helps you scale and grow, to the next level and help you lay down the blueprint. And September is the right month to start beginning and planning. So really excited to talk about this topic.
Exactly, Bimal. And let's kick things right from the start, Bimal, for today's episode. So, Bimal, we've already talked on our previous episodes about quantum leaps before, but here we are in September with just 90 days left in the year. Why is the right why is it right now is such a perfect time for entrepreneurs to take a leap instead of waiting until January?
So this is, what you call is a foundational and structural leap because the last part of the year, is when you are able to look back and look at all the things and plan for the next year. So this is, the right time, and September is the best month because you can look back and say, okay, we can see some of the things that we're planning for next year and we can test it during this quarter of the year. And then we can improvise and start the year with proper feedback and improvement and make all the changes and structural changes that are necessary. So this is the perfect time because you can look back for the next year and plan out the whole year ahead and then look what, implement some of those things and see what happens. And then you can even get feedback on improvement. So this is really, that's one of the main core reasons.
I agree with that, Bimal. And it's such a great reminder that you don't have to wait for a new year to create a fresh start. You can actually finish stronger, or you can even start right now. So thank you for that. Now, most entrepreneurs already set quarterly goals, but when you talk about a quantum leap, you mean something very different. Could you paint a picture for us of how this plays out differently than just writing goals down?
So leaps are a whole lot different. They're a completely different animal, completely different world than just goals and strategies and planning and analysis and all of that. Leaps is you're actually making a jump and you need preparation. So think about, if you've seen Olympics and athletics, if you want to do a high jump, you prepare for that high jump, right? And you work very hard and you run up to a point. It's not that you just leap standing forward. You're running up to a point and then you have a big stick and then you jump high. Now, if you want to jump far, it's your strength and your body and your all your preparation that you do throughout the year that helps you leap far in a long jump. So similarly, if you're trying to leap, leap is thinking beyond your current possibility. Leap is saying, okay, how can I go far and beyond what I'm seeing, what is feasible or what is possible? And how can I get there? What are some of the things that I need to do? And this is where the structure is so important because, analysis, planning, strategies, goals, they're good, but they can only help you get so far. But when you think about leaps, you build the whole foundational structure, and that's why they can actually make significant progress and take you far beyond what you thought was possible. And that is the reason why, you plan for leaps. And that's why you think in 90-day periods, so that you're thinking, in 3 months, what can you accomplish that will take you closest to your 3-year goals? So, you're challenging yourself, you're going far beyond what you thought was possible, and you're making the impossible possible.
Exactly. And I think that's the part so many of us miss, that we get stuck in the cycle of like making lists, checking boxes, and then wondering, "Oh, why nothing feels different." So, and I agree that what you're describing is more like rewiring the way the business moves forward. So, like, instead of pushing the same boulder uphill, we're actually building momentum that will keep us carrying forward. Thank you, Bimal, for that. Now, if someone is listening and is thinking right now, okay, I'm ready to leap, where should they begin? What's the very first foundation stone that will make everything else possible?
So you said a very important word just recently when you were describing, and that word is scary. So when we talk about, SMART goals, and if you think about what has been said, many different places and books and all this, I'm a complete opposite believer of SMART goals. So SMART goals are defined as specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely, which means that you should plan within your confined limits. I'm on the opposite, that your SMART goal should be scary. So I define SMART goal as not specific but scary. So you said a very important word. So that is one of the core foundation. Whatever you have written down in your 90-day leap, does that make you feel scared? And if it does, you're on the right track. The second is they should be methodical, meaning that it's not just measurable, but they should be something in there that is methodical, systematic, structurally different, that is makes you very unique and different, and that is not does not exist, and you're the only one. So methodical is looking at, a process, a method, a structure, a foundation, a system. So that is the second, from the SMART. The A stands for audacious, where you are taking it to where you feel that you're attracted, so to that goal. And then R is realistic, and then T stands for truth. The goal should be relevant to you. They should speak to you. You should be attracted. There should be a pull, a gravitational pull towards those goals. So that's how I define SMART goals. Completely opposite from what you find on the net or internet, or if you search SMART goals, and that takes you to another level. So that's one of the things, the foundational level. The second is, if you think, a lot of people get stuck on tasks. Every day when you get up, you think about, you want to do this task, you want to do that task, or you want to do that task. But what if you were to replace that with projects? Projects are, they involve a lot. There's a method, there's a structure, there's a process, there's a system. There you're connecting the dots, you're taking it. So working on projects takes you a lot farther than working on tasks. And if you think about, what project can I work on this quarter that will take our business or take me closest to my 3-year goal in 1 year? And that now all of a sudden puts your thinking and mind at a totally different level, instead of just doing mundane tasks or tasks that you've been doing before, because you get in the habit of doing the same tasks that you were doing before. So that is the other aspect, is think about what projects. Now when you're working on project, you know that you can't do it alone. You need people, and you need to put aside time. And then you decide, okay, when I'm doing all these things, how much money does it entail? So when you're thinking, okay, this project turns into this much, or this project takes me closest to this, or this project helps me make this much money. And that's how you decide which projects to take on, and then how many projects you're working on a day. And it is possible that, on a single project, you may be spending 2 or 3 hours at a go, and that 2 or 3 hours that you spend is like doing work that might be taking you months and months of doing tasks. So in a single day and a single time, you have accomplished what may take you otherwise months and months of work with a single 2.5 hour focus on a single project. So these are some of the core foundations, of building, and that's why I call quantum leaps, not just any leap. It's like if you think about quantum computing and quantum mechanics or quantum science, when you look at quantum engineering, it is taking your thinking and engineering far beyond what we see as possible. And that is why, you think about in your business in terms of quantum leaps as well.
Makes so much sense, Bimal. And, starting with structure instead of jumping straight into tactics, that's how you avoid the burnout cycle. And also the famous quote we can see online, if it excites you and if it scares you at the same time, it might be a good thing to try. So that's why there are people just like you that is really willing to help and guide our entrepreneurs. So thank you for that. Now, um, what about the other side of this? If someone isn't quite ready, what are the warning signs of red flags that they should probably handle first before trying a leap?
So let's define readiness. And you pointed out, what if someone is not ready? Readiness can be psychological or physiological. So psychological meaning that it's all in your mind. It's all a myth that you've made up. I'm not ready yet. Now, physiological, you may be, yeah, you may not be some physical handicap or something that prevents you. You may be sick, you may not be physically feasible in a position to do what you need to do. That is true, that, that is preventing you, and that's a real thing that prevents you from doing. But psychological, it's in your mind. You believe that you're not ready because this is too much work. I mean, most of the time, the biggest thing is getting started. How many things, think about, if you go back, how many things have you thought or dreamt about or wished about that you haven't even started? And when you go back and think, oh, once one day I thought about this, but I thought it was just too much, it's far beyond my capabilities. I never started it. Another day you may have gotten another idea or something else and you thought about it, but you never started it. How do we know that, it's going to take that longer? I'm not ready yet if you haven't started it yet. And many times we get stuck on the how because, I don't know how to do this. Well, there another way you spell the word how is who. Okay. I don't know how to do social media, and that's why I have you. So if I think about, me learning, I don't want to spend the time, on doing social media because that's not my thing. But someone out there knows it just like you. So the word how can be replaced by who. And that's where people come in. So when you think about project, the next thing is people. And then you have to think about time and money. So these are some of the core concepts, when you think about challenges, if you get stuck on the how, think about the who. And most of the time, majority of the time, the not being ready is being stuck on the how.
A good point, Bimal, because I think entrepreneurs can sometimes overestimate how ready they were, and others also get excited about the idea, but they don't know or they don't have those basics in place. So, like, we're setting ourselves up for frustrations because of not getting the goal that we were thinking just because we don't know anything about that yet. And I really appreciate how you're normalizing the fact that it's okay not to know everything. That's why there are people that is willingly there to help. Thank you for
Absolutely.
that, Bimal.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Now, one of your big philosophies is helping entrepreneurs build self-managing companies. Can you share how that idea really fuels the success of these 90-day leaps?
Ultimately, you want to get on that journey, whether that is a goal or not, because you want to make that as a goal. Because getting on that journey and building a company that can run without you is so valuable. Because one, it can free up your time and it can make you do things that you never did before, experienced in life. Two, it can create a value for your business that is a much higher multiple than what it is today. So let's say you're running a business, or maybe you're running, a $20 million business, but it's with you in it and doing everything in it. But if that company were to run on its own, all of a sudden that business could be worth 35 or 40 million. It could be just you just doubled it by just, getting into the journey of building that self-managing. So whether you're a small company, whether you're building a $500,000 company, or you're running or you're starting, getting on that journey makes it very worthwhile, because now you start thinking about systems, process, structure, methods. Because when you take yourself out of the picture, you're no longer a slave to the business, you're no longer managing people, you're managing the business, and you're thinking about, okay, how can this business run like a system? How can this business run like a machine? How can these things function on its own? What will it take? And that's when you start building things. So that just building a self-managing company, building that journey is so important, because it can do so many wonders for you, your life, your team. And you also put, as part of doing that, the very first foundation is putting the right people in the right seats to give the right things for the right results for the right pay. And that is the foundation. And when you do that, magic happens.
Yes, exactly, Bimal. And when the team is empowered and the systems are in place, it stops being just another heavy project for the business owners. So it instead becomes a shared mission, and that's where the real freedom and scalability come in. So now, of course, no growth journey is completely smooth. What are the most common stumbling blocks entrepreneurs run into during a leap? And how do they keep moving forward instead of getting stuck?
So, one of the most common challenges, I feel that people run into is when work is done without accountability. Okay. Accountability is key in any type of environment. And, if you have accountability, you will see great transformation. And accountability doesn't mean that you have to spend time sitting down with everyone or whoever's in your team and asking them, what happened. You could build in reporting system, technology, things like that that you can use that's available today, which, will do the work of, that is needed. And you wouldn't need, to have that time spent. A lot of people and a lot of companies, I said, for every two people, I need a third person to look over those two people and see what they're doing. You don't need that. That could, in fact, hamper productivity and growth. And it may take a reverse effect, and you may not see any productivity or anything done. But if you give the freedom to do the work, which is why, hiring right and having a results based job description before you hire someone, you need to know, okay, what do you want out of this? Who do you, when you're looking for that person, to hire, what is your mission? What are you looking to accomplish as a result? Results mean everything. And so, you have to define the results. That's why I say, instead of just a job description, have a result based job description. And when you have that, and you can then track the results of what's happening. And those results can be easily compiled into system structures, reporting, accountability. And you can see a dashboard of what's happening throughout the company and collectively your team working as a whole. So these are things that are feasible and possible, and this is one of the most common challenges. Second is, you may choose the wrong projects to work on. So you may think about that, so for example, you're running a business, and let's say, you say, I want to multiply the number of customers I have 1,000 times. An ambitious goal, scary goal, whatever. You have that. Now, does multiplying your customers 1,000 times, something that you want? Because, that means management and making these customers happy. And, with a lean team, if you're trying to build, maybe the right goal or the right project would be having your revenue per customer grow higher than, the number of customers, quality over quantity. So if you think about, okay, instead of having, $100 revenue for customer, if you're having that, you say, okay, now I want to take it to 500 or 300. That means you're saying, okay, what can I deliver to the customers that I already have? That means you have lesser number of customers to manage, and you can deliver a much higher quality. And then you can scale, so you've already scaled with exponentially with a much lower, so you're working very high in terms of your, which I call the lifetime value of the customer, the initial transaction value, and the annual customer value. Three key numbers that you need to monitor every single time: ITV, ACV, and LTV. So these are things that, okay, how can I increase the lifetime value of my customer? How can I increase the annual customer value? And what do you need to do that? So this is where I see that, most people don't track those numbers, because they're tracking your total sales, your total profit, your total expenses, but how many customers did it take to generate that sales? Did you look at that? And looking at that can give you an insight into how you're running your operation, how you're running a business, and what it will take long term to scale. So these are some of the key things that we look at, when you're trying to see common challenges. That's why September to December is a great time to look back and say, okay, how do I change the direction or improve the direction that we're headed on to get to where we want to go.
So powerful, Bimal. Hearing how it plays out in the real world makes it feel so much more attainable for our listeners. It's a, I mean, it's a great reminder that it's really important to have a team. It's really important, not just having a team, but the right team, the right employee, the right employer for that for each of us. So thank you for reminding us. Now, do you have any story of a client or a company who really surprised you with that they achieve in just 90 days?
So, I had done, this is where I worked with them, and they have been doing the same amount of revenues for almost 18 years. And then when we started, I said we could take this to a 3x level in a year. And they said that's impossible. We've been doing this amount of business, we've been in business for so many years. There's no way we can exponentially grow in just 90 days. That's impossible. Nothing is, that's too far out thinking, radical, you must be crazy, all of that. But then I showed it to them structurally, methodically. Okay, so this owner used to come into his conference meeting with a 6 point type, and he had all these pages of cases, and say that, okay, we have all these cases, what we're doing. And I took a look at all his cases and say, out of this, probably, there's only 16 of these cases that really will give you the most amount of money, and that have an 80% or higher probability of converting to money. If we focus on that, you will double your business. And I showed him with dollars and numbers. And when he looked at me, he was silent for quite some time. I said, why didn't I look at this before? I said, you've been looking at too many things. Less is more. And when we did that, we prepared that at 7 a.m. in the morning and left it on everybody's chair. Because if it's on someone's desk, everybody's desk was not properly organized. So, it could get misplaced. So that if that paper is on your chair, you won't sit on a piece of paper. You would pull it up and look at it, right? So came at 7. We made a strategy: come in at 7 a.m. in the morning and put it on everybody's chair. And now he came to the meeting with one page with a 16-point type instead of 6-point type, and only just a small number of cases. And everybody was excited because that was more manageable. That didn't look like this is impossible. And now when we looked at that, they doubled their business and they all went on a big cruise as a celebration at the end of the quarter.
It's amazing, and that's a proud moment, I believe, for you also, Bimal, because you're also one of the people behind those success. And it makes the whole idea of a quantum leap feel less like a theory and more like a proven path, just because of you sharing those little successful story. So thank you for that. Now, you've written 13 books, which is incredible. If someone is listening and wants to dive deeper into building system or creating a superhero team, where would you recommend they start, Bimal?
So if they're looking to build a 90-day leap, the book number 6 is all about that. Is about the quantum 90-day leaps. And it gives you a structure, everything methodical, and what is required. And you even walk away with a written 90-day leap at the end by using that book. It helps you go through, and book number 1 through 5 actually help you. So books 1 through 6 will actually build the foundation and structure. And books 7 through 13 will help you go through the remainder of the 4 leaps and remainder of the things, structurally, and walk you through the process. So my whole system of 4 leaps a year, so what I do is, the first leap is the quantum leap. The second leap is what we call the productivity leap, and the set superhero team leap. Then the third leap is the self-managing company leap, and the fourth leap is the rinse and repeat leap. So the foundational system of the quantum leaps, the superhero team leap, the self-managing team company leap, and the rinse and repeat leap will help you actually build the whole system and get to that point where you can now use the rinse and repeat 90-day leap every 90 days. And with this system, we also guarantee that you will achieve your 3-year goal in 1 year as long as we follow through the process. And if you don't, then the additional 90-day leap is on me. And that is a big bold promise because I'm confident about the system and the structure and the way it works. Now, I'm also giving away $100 Amazon gift card, and there's some fantastic tools. So please don't forget to click on the show notes today. We have actually the replay of many of the webinars that I have done on the 90-day leaps. I've also done many talks on the content 90-day leap. So you can watch those speeches and presentations on the show notes below. And we're also giving you a tool, the actual quantum 90-day leap tool, that you can actually go through it, ask you the specific questions, so it will make your brain think in the right direction and put your thoughts on paper. And then you have a PDF document that you can actually look at and see, okay, this is my 90-day leap. And then there is the $100 Amazon gift card to get all my books. So check it out, use the $100 Amazon gift card, click on the show notes, and get all the books. It will help you make the quantum 90-day leap and make you a pioneer.
Out of your generosity, Bimal. It really creates such a fun incentive for our entrepreneurs and listeners to invest in their own growth. And with this 100 Amazon gift card that you're offering. And who doesn't love a good Amazon shopping spree on top of it, right?
So
So
this is
thank you, Bimal, for such a powerful and practical conversation. You've reminded us that we don't need to wait for January to reset or grow. The opportunity to live is always right in front of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Use the $100 Amazon gift card to get the books and become a pioneer. Hello, pioneers and entrepreneurs. My name is Bimal Shah. I'm on a mission to make pioneers out of entrepreneurs by helping you achieve your 3-year goal in 1 year that is tied to your 25-year vision and 5-year moonshot. I do it through 90-day leaps and weekly sprints and through my own proprietary 4-leap system. I've also written 13 books, the Becoming a Pioneer series. I've founded the Pioneers Academy, the Pioneers platform, and several resources that help you on several different platforms, the Thrive platform, Transform platform, and Transcend platform. So these are resources and tools that I built for you to double your business in a year and scale exponentially and become the only one in your business.